Alright, quick little memo to myself, LegoMaster1378 or Dan J. Savard here. I'm currently working on my mods to the 2007, I want to say, maybe 2008 ATAP. And unfortunately, I ran into a problem where I tried integrating the gun into the main cabin, but then I realized when I looked back at the reference picture that the gun is actually slightly above the little slit right there, which I'm presuming is supposed to be the viewport. And that slit is approximated here, which is with this black piece, which is not super great, but I'll try to find a better solution for that. And the gun is slightly below that. But what's worse is that because of the angle that the AT-8B normally sits at with this stock configuration for the legs, and especially this leg here is a little bit too short, the only position that you can put all three legs down in forces the cannon to be very downwards like that, whereas on the original set, it's kind of sticking out of the chassis completely, but it achieves that upward angle. So yeah, I'm gonna have to probably do a total rebuild of this. Oh boy. On the plus side though, one cool thing that I did add that the original designers probably didn't necessarily think about or intend, and that I'm pretty proud of, is the interior detailing here. So I basically have what's supposed to be probably the pilot, and then a gunner right here, and then a gunner right there. This gunner would probably also act as like the main tank commander, I would imagine. That's why he's got the red shock trooper markings. And then here I just put some old school clone episode 3 pilot helmets onto regular episode 3 clone trooper, or just regular old school clone trooper, because they were the same for episode 2 and 3 bodies. And he is, as you can see here, trying to load up a shell. And I got a rifle there because I have two other clone troopers that are sitting in seats in order to look out the back. Because, yeah, they're basically covering the back angles of the AT-8B, which I find in most of these models and reference pictures that I've seen looks to be horrendously badly covered. And unlike the AT-ST, it wouldn't be able to turn very quickly. Because just look at how unwieldy this thing is. And this is the, or I guess the shells or the ammunition for the cannon, the main cannon. Yeah, ideally I'd like to have a little Technic piece right there in that gray spot in order to load the shells into, similar to an old JS Lego Master World War I brick film that I remember seeing as a kid. And then this whole thing just pops back on, and you've got a little clone manning the mass driver cannon, I think it's called the mass driver cannon in episode 2. That's what's confusing, is that here, this is the ATTE. You've got a clone trooper here. And I very much based this off of the ATTE's layout. I originally experimented with having a bunch of clone troopers sitting in here, because when you look at the image, like, this is 10 clones seated in here, plus 2 gunners, plus 1 guy sitting up here, plus 2, like the driver and then the spotter. And I believe in the CGI Clone Wars TV show, you only see 1 driver most of the time. I can't remember ever seeing 2 drivers, because I know Mace Windu pulls 1 out of them in season 1, and then in the Clone Wars movie you see one of those tanks blow up. And then they've got the DC-15 rifles just sitting on the rack there, and then a ladder to some hatches, and then what might be another group of 10 troopers back here, and then 2 gunners for the 2 back cannons. So by comparison, the AT-AP is probably a lot cheaper than the ATTE production-wise, because it's much simpler, but I really don't like the fact that it's not defended at the back. So I was inspired by a World War II plane mock that one of my fellow lug members brought to a show this weekend, and I stuck 2 little, like, basically I used the empty space here, when I extended out the flooring here in order to kind of allow for potentially more just little guns sticking out. I'm not sure how logical that would be. I would need to, like, really do a proper build of this model for real. But I really wanted to have that feature because the DC-15s are established in lore to be really powerful weapons, so it would make sense that they could use them as at least as a deterrent. It wouldn't do much against like a spider droid or a homing spider droid or a hailfire droid or anything, but for battle droids with missile launchers, which would probably be a very big threat for slow-moving artillery units like this, yeah, hopefully that would work. Because I was trying to look at reference pictures, and the only reference that I could find for an ATAP was this thing. So I'm basically having to kind of piece things together from some other books that I have here. I was looking at the layout of the ATTE, the AAT, which has room for 1, 2, 3, and then 4 troopers all inside of it, which is really small. Or rather, like it's a really small space. You can't easily do that with Lego. Battle droids are much easier to fit into a smaller space than clone troopers. I've been working on a design for an AAT with 3 guys in the interior, but yeah, with clone troopers, because of just Lego's physics of the way that their figures are manufactured, they're 4 studs wide, so that makes fitting 2 of them side by side a real pain. They're short and they're wide. And military and custom car builders especially have been struggling with this problem for probably now coming up on 3 decades. I wonder how many people were making minifig scale cars in the early 90s. That was before the modern internet. That would be a cool thing to research. Anyway, I was also looking at the Juggernaut here and a little bit the ATRT, but that's just like one guy sitting on it. It's very simple. The Juggernaut is full of interior details, and I would love to build a minifig scale Juggernaut at one point, but these things are massive. You actually run on top of one in the Revenge of the Sith game, and it's just enormous. It's absolutely insane. If only that game had proper one-shot lightsaber combat physics instead of being a beat 'em up, similar to the old Obi-Wan game, then I would say that like I would wholeheartedly recommend it to everyone because it's got like a lot of this cool Revenge of the Sith technology. No ATAPs though, I don't think. From what I've read on Wikipedia, which isn't a perfect source, but it's a really good starting point, the ATAPs only appeared in Empire at War. So I'll have to dig up some Empire at War reference material for these to try to see what the heck, how they walk, how they fire, how this turret moves, because they also appear in the Clone Wars, Lego Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars game, but they're really funky there because they're based off of this 2006 model, and just the walking animation just looks kind of goofy in my opinion. So, yeah, I've still got a lot of stuff to figure out with this ATAP model, but it's fun because I'm trying to make a small ATAP that's a little bit more affordable than Brickvault's version, and that's a neat challenge because Brickvault's version is gorgeous, but I personally don't think it's a really great use of space because it only fits 2 troopers in there. And I'm not sure how playable it is. I'd have to test it out for myself, but I see a lot of connections on there that are iffy. So I'm going to try to make sure that this is as playable as possible. Probably one of the things I'm going to need to do is I might just wind up doing a full rebuild using the frame of the 2014 version. Because that had some serious improvements. So yeah, I'll hopefully get continuing to work on this soon. Bye for now.